Hi friends, it's Barbara our doll and welcome. Welcome. Have you ever thought about sharing your spinning journey with somebody? Of telling the stories of the special craft that you do in your life? That's what today's video is going to be about sharing our stories. We'll hear about some of the old fairy tales about spinning. We will hear about my own personal story of spinning and the importance it plays in my life as I spin. So I picked up my favorite little spindle. This is an Ashford. And my fiber, the Bluefish Leicester BFL Merino blend from less than an hour away from my house. And I'm going to spin. I've got a bit of a script I'm going to follow. And then let's just see where it takes us. I'll even show you spinning on my wheel, so something different. I will put my glasses on though. There we go. There we go. So settle in with your favorite cuppa, whatever, ice, hot, something special, and join me just for a little while as we talk about our stories. Spinning is a form, or can be a form of meditation, or a form of prayer time. I'm often spinning and I'm thinking of the people in my life who need prayer, who are struggling with life, those who are very sad and blue, those who are waiting doctors' approvals for different things. There's all sorts of different life situations that I keep in prayer as I spindle, as I knit. I'm currently using some of this fiber to make a soft, fuzzy pair of mittens, and they're very soft, very fuzzy. I'm just using a plain old vanilla mitten pattern that I learned years and years and years ago from my granny. So, but for now, just this, and thinking about the people in my life. I also often ponder the scripture that I'll be sharing with folks on Sunday, going over in my mind the key points that I feel are important or that I'm led to share. So that's all part of the meditation process. I also believe that the spinning can be a symbolism of transformation and growth. As we know that our raw wool comes from the sheep that are raised for this. This is a spin from a spinner's flock. So I know how she cares for them. I know that it's uplifting for me to see them. As we spin, we think about our experiences in life, what it means, have we grown? Oftentimes, when we spin, it's about trying new things and how it can change us. We look at the strength of the fiber as we spin and how we can transform this lovely, soft, floofy stuff into something strong enough that we can wear it as a hat or mittens or even socks. Something strong. But there's also something connecting us with tradition, with our past, the generations of people that came before us. I know on my grandmother's farm, I don't know whether I ever saw the spinning wheel that was there. I have a feeling I did. I was pretty young. But she would talk about the fact that there was a spinning wheel. There was always sheep on that farm when we visited. But it was part of daily practice. It was something that had to be done. The sheep had to be sheared or shorn in order to maintain their health. And then what do you do with the wool? You don't get a lot for selling it. So somebody would spin and somebody would knit or weave. And I would hear stories of that. I would hear stories of the special patterns that were used. I remember Grammy talking to me about knitting for the war effort, and I saw the Red Cross knitting book that she had. It was falling apart by the time I saw it, but it was all part of that history and part of the stories that we share with one another. I want to think for a minute about the stories that we weave, right? The stories that we spin as we share with one another, and the stories that we grew up with as children, thinking of Rapunzel, who had to spin flax into gold. Of, I gotta make sure I get this right, Sleeping Beauty, who was spinning and pricked herself and fell into a deep sleep. There are others, the three sisters who had to spin. The three sisters who would weave and then would cut the strands as life would end. It's not a very happy story, but it was one of the stories. And I bet you know more. And if you do, please leave your stories of remembrance and fairy tales or novels that you've read. Leave them in the comments so that I can make sure that I'm on track, but also to add to my own reading. Am I missing a big tale here? Because I don't have all the answers, right? When we sit and we spin, it's not just the wool that takes form, it's also our thoughts and how it connects with our bodies. Everything comes into play here. As we spin, our fingers are touching the fibers. This feels so good. I wish you could feel it. But we think about how we're sitting. So it's about our posture, what's going on in our bodies, what's going on in our heads. Is it anxiety? And as we spin, the anxiety lessens because we're focused on the task at hand and not on the problem we're trying to solve. Because some problems need rest to solve. And here we go. Different breeds of sheep coming from different landscapes that they graze on, whether they've been grazing on hard rock, whether they're the sheep that need the heavier coats because they live in a colder climate. I'm thinking the Icelandic sheep with their dual coat, so they've got the long hairs outside and the shorter hairs inside. Not every coat is perfect. Not every creature is the same. So as we're spinning the fleece, our yarn may not be perfect. It may have little bumps and slubs and who knows what else that comes through, but it's all still there, and it all goes into making the end product. Now, of course, if you're buying commercially prepared yarns, it has gone through a chemical process. They wash it, they use heavy chemicals to dissolve the grasses and the bits and pieces that are in that. But when we wash it at home, we don't use the harsh chemicals. I mean, the most harsh thing I use is, Blue Dawn. And it dropped. There, I picked it up. I must have got it too thin while I was talking to you. And it wasn't going to come together strong enough. And sometimes I have to do that. I know, I was talking about imperfection in the finished product, right? Because there are spots where it might be thinner, it might be thicker, it might be absolutely perfect one time and the next time you sit down and nothing goes right. But that's real. And as we twist and as we pull, we're building tension, and then we release the tension. We pull it and we wrap it, and we pull it and we wrap it. And isn't that part of our lives as well? In our stories, when we read a good novel, there's tension. Whether it happens right from the beginning or once we've heard all of the narrative to kind of give us the background of the characters, of the landscape, then there's tension that builds up. And it's the tension that builds up that keeps us interested in the story. And it's the tension in the yarn as we're pulling the fibers and getting them just right that helps us create the story of this specific yarn. Okay, so I might be stretching the metaphor a little bit, but no, I don't know. Every skein of yarn can be a little bit different and will have its own imperfections. So if I look at this, it's a little bit thicker right in there. You may not be able to see that. I'll put it up there. You can see it. See the fuzz on that yarn? Oh my gosh. So nice. And spinning is not just about creating something functional, which it really is, isn't it? Like, we create things that work for us. It's about weaving our stories, a meditation of something in the past, or something that we're offering for the future. So I'm going to say, as you spin today, think about your own stories. The stories in your life of the people who taught you your craft, whatever that craft may be, and how engaging it was. And think about how you would tell and share that story with someone else. Excuse me. Because it's all about the stories. That's what our lives are. As we share life with one another, we share our stories. So let me just take a minute here and switch around. Just want to make sure I have everything I wanted in this. The 3 spinners, that was the one I was looking for. The craft of spinning flax into thread serves as both the work of every day and the mysterious task that leads to fortune or transformation. In that story, I'm reading from my script. 3 strange women skilled at spinning help a girl complete an impossible task. They had deformities. Huge feet, broad thumbs, hanging lips are all the result of years of spinning, and a reminder that every craft requires dedication and can have its toll, but in the end, the girl is freed from spinning as her story moves on, just as we weave in and out of our stories today. The flax is such an incredible fiber. It's called a bast fiber. You have to break down the growth of flax. There's a whole series of that, and I'm not going to go into it because I don't know it well enough. But it's something I may want to learn in the future. I may need to do that. Anyway, let's just switch it up here for a minute. Okay, so I'm here, and I thought I would do just a little bit of spinning on my wheel. This is a Babe. I have had it for a very long time, and it was used by someone else, enjoyed by someone else before me. This is the same fiber but undyed, and I'm just filling up this bobbin here. I may have the wheel a little bit too close to me. It's hard to say. Oh, it's been a while since I picked it up. I enjoy the wheel, but I enjoy the spindle too, so I go from one to the other. In fact, I can spin a lot more on the wheel than I can on a spindle. So it's making a really weird noise down there. I don't know what that's about. She needs a good cleaning. I still haven't named her. I have no idea what to name this wheel. And I've had her since 2003, maybe 2004. Even the washi tape I put on it is coming off. And I think it's just almost too close. I'm gonna move over a little bit more. But this is where I can sit and meditate because my hands are not quite so busy, so I'm actually watching the wheel turn as I spin. And of course I'm wearing black pants, which is not super smart, but there's not a lot falling out of it. Actually, there's very little falling out of it. I've carded it. It's pretty curly before I card it, let me tell you. But because there's not a lot falling out of it, and honestly, I don't worry too much about my pants when I'm spinning. I don't often wear the black ones. I usually wear blue or denim. But it's coming along really well. And I'll just grab another piece here and just keep adding it on. So how would your story begin today? And mine is kind of convoluted in a way. Living in Alaska at the time, I found a group in Yahoo, back in the days of the Yahoo groups. It was children, CIC, I can't remember what it was called. But they were looking for hand knit socks made in wool. And I could only find cream colored wool and navy or black, I don't remember, at Fred Meyer at the time. That was before Walmart went in. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? And somebody in the chat said, well, get a spindle, get some wool, and spin your own. And I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. So I went on eBay, and that was it. I got my very first spindle, my very first fibers. I had no idea what I was doing. And then we were down, and I can't remember the name of the shop, in downtown Fairbanks. And the lady sold a lot of beadwork and beads and did other things, lots of fiber type arts. And I was talking to her about my spinning. I had my spindle with me, and she said, what you do is spin a little every day. Just spin a little bit every day and you'll get better. And I did. I spun a little bit every day, and it wasn't too long before I had enough to knit a pair of socks. Well, I mean, between that time and when I got my first spindle and finally figured out watching videos how to do it with like a park and draft kind of thing, I went back on eBay and I got some raw fleece, some raw fibers, and bought it and started processing it myself. And then that spring we went to shearing of a small flock outside of Fairbanks, and I was able to borrow an Ashford wheel from her, which was kind of cool. And because I helped with the shearing, I also got a couple of fleece, and I paid for the needles for a couple of the critters as well. And then I found this wheel on eBay, and the rest, they say, is history. So, you know, you can't just have one spindle, you have to have more than one. It's a collection sort of thing. So anytime I went anywhere where I could see fiber arts and they had a different type of spindle or something pretty, that's what I would get. And if there was fiber for sale, I would get it. So I have quite the stash, and I'm not even going to tell you how much that is. But that's kind of my story. And I think as a child, visiting my uncle in Nova Scotia and his relationship with the sheep it created in me this strong desire to be connected with sheep. I've always wanted to have sheep. And of course that's just not anywhere in my future at this point in my life, being that I'm, over 65 and my husband's turning 80 this week. So moving to a farm with sheep is probably not the thing that's going to happen. And I know sheep have their own situations and problems and concerns, and yeah. So I will support the local sheep, the local shepherd, shepherdess, and purchase what I can and enjoy what I can. And I'll continue to spin the story of my life, to spin the story of the sheep, the story of the finished objects, the socks, the mittens, the hats, the scarves. All of those things are important, not only in my life, but in the lives of all of us. So I hope that today's video has been inspirational. I hope that you can, if you have been able to pick up your spindle or sit down at your wheel and think a little bit more of what's going on in your life as the wheel turns, as they say. And as we move to the end of this month, I'll do one more video on our crafting and spirituality and how they all kind of come together. But for today, I hope you enjoy your craft. I hope you find the good in everything that you do and everything that you see. And until next time, blessings. I hope you've enjoyed the video today. And if you like this kind of video content, please like, subscribe, share, do all the things. But whatever you do, enjoy your crafting today. God bless. Bye for now.